it will limit the amount of opportunity that new producers, new songwriters, new engineers, I think it'll limit their opportunity in the industry, because if you work at a studio and you're an engineer and all of a sudden you can just have an AI do all these not meaningless tasks, because they're very important, but menial tasks, yeah. That takes an opportunity away from a younger engineer to then go in and start learning from the guy that's already there. It becomes much harder for that new engineer to then go and actually learn the skills that are needed to become a professional, to thrive.
So you're talking about like the AI education paradox, where what happens when the last people that know how effectively the end-to-end process works, if effectively that's being replaced by AI, then who understands how AI comes to the conclusion in the first place?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think you guys talked about this with in the legal context a couple months ago. Yeah, it is. Yeah, if every young person getting into the industry relies on AI, let's take mixing, for example. It's somewhat of a scientific process. You know, there are certain frequencies that will sound good. There are certain frequencies that won't sound good. And you might be able to have an AI that could do that really well. And I think I saw a video recently of there's a company that was promoting their AI mixing tool, and they had a bunch of producers use it, and all the sound bites of these producers are like, oh wow, that was amazing, you know, that sounds fantastic, that's saving me so much time. But then if AI is doing the mixing for every song, because it's time saving, it's convenient, it's efficient, first of all, what happens to all the mix engineers? Where do they go? And second of all, the AI is probably going to mix every rock song similar, every hip hop song similarly, every folk song similarly, because there's a trend in folk songs over the years of this is, for example, you know, the snare might be louder in in a hip hop song, the snare will take front and center. So if an AI mixes your hip hop song, that snare will be front and center. But I think part of mixing, it is, you know, scientific, but it's also feel-based. You have engineers that go and will just listen to it. They won't really think of values, and they just feel when a sound is right. That won't happen as much with an AI, because an AI will just say, this works, because it's worked 1,000 times before. But if you have an interesting, unique song, an engineer might be able to hear, okay, I've had 15 years of experience. I've done 1,000, 2,000 songs in this genre, but this specific one, I hear the emotion they're trying to get, and I think this other path might be a better thing to prioritize, you know, maybe a different instrument or it could be anything really. But to do that, you have to have trained ears. You have to have been doing it for a long time, and you have to have almost the emotional connection to the music. Like, that's how you'd make that decision, rather than a scientific one where you look at numbers. I don't know if an AI could do the emotional part, and that's often what makes a song stand out. You might have 10 songs that are similar. One of them was just mixed differently, and that brought out the emotion that the artist was trying to give, you know, in a better way than the other 9 songs. Definitely a lot of people could suffer from it. I think it depends how the industry as a whole, and songwriters as producers as a group decide to adopt AI.